Hey, everybody, this is Bob Louthen, and this is the VeteranCrowd Spotlight. Very pleased to have as my guest today my friend Sean Matson. Sean's the co-founder and CEO of Matbock, who is also a co-founder of Strikeforce Energy. VMI class of 2005, where he was an NCAA swimmer. He's been a Navy SEAL. He's actually a VeteranCrowd alumnus and actually worked for me for a little while after his transition out of the Navy. And just a special note today, he's running an exclusive for VeteranCrowd members. You can be the very first owner of a genuine Matbock cargo net. Absolutely be the first one ever. Sean, why don't you tell everybody about that? I got
Thanks,
you.
Bob. Yeah, you did. Thanks, Bob. So our cargo net was what really kind of kicked this whole thing off for us. My business partner, Zach Steinbach, and I, back in 2006, really. We started with this cargo net, and we were building one for the military to go fly up to Alaska. And as we were building this cargo pallet, we were just like, this is the stupidest system in the entire world. Why is it taking, at the time, 35 of us, fresh out of buds, SEALs, basically, how to figure out how to put this together. And then once we got it together, the loadmaster was like, nope, all wrong. So we had to tear it all down, had to put it all back together again. And we were like, all right. So we designed a whole new cargo net system for the 8-hour flight up to Alaska, sitting side by side with now my business partner, Zach, on that C-130. As Bob says, we haven't sold one of them yet. And so
but that was like the genesis. So that was the genesis for Matbock. And of course, the name Matbock comes from the combination of Matson and Steinbach. So
that's correct. Yep.
Good. So Sean, you grew up in Virginia. You went to VMI. How did you wind up becoming a Navy SEAL?
So at the age of 12, so even before 12, I wanted to go serve in the military. So my dad was in the Navy. My grandfather was in the Navy. My great grandfather was in the Navy. My uncle was in the Coast Guard. He was actually a rescue.
The family business.
Yeah. So, we just figured, but at that time, Top Gun was hot. And I wanted to be a pilot. I can still memorize, I can still say every, line in Top Gun and go through that whole spiel. So I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I thought that that's what I wanted to do. I knew I was going to go into the Navy. And then at 12 years old, we were out in California for spring break, and I saw these guys running around the beach with logs, and then they're swimming. And I always enjoyed swimming and being at the beach. And I told my mom right there, I was like, that's what I want to go do. And she was like, you don't even know what that is. I was like, I don't know, but it looks fun. So I started reading about it, doing some research about it. And then basically, as I started telling people, got told, like, you have no idea what those guys do. And, I don't know if you could do that. And so kind of right there was kind of the challenge.
What was it? Was Buds as fun as you thought it was going to be?
Buds is like it's a love-hate relationship, because the guys that you get to meet there and the camaraderie, very similar to what you went through at VMI and the Rat Line and things like that. You can't explain it to someone unless you've gone through it together with that person. You come out 100 times, a different person, 180-degree different person than what you started with. Those guys that you go through that with, you remember them for the rest of your life. They're literally your brothers, and maybe not on a blood sense, but they'll do anything for you. And like brothers, there's some good ones and there's some bad ones. And
were you and Zach in the same Buds class?
We were. Yeah, we were both. We were both Buds class 258. He was a academy grad, so he got a free ride, didn't pay to get abused. And, I did.
You and I are not the sharpest tools in the shed. We paid to go to military school. Yeah.
Yeah. I paid to get abused. And, even the best part is I even paid for my abuse years later, after I left there with
borrowed money to do it. Yeah.
with a little bit of debt. So, I walked out of there thinking, this is awesome. I'm done, but I still paying for all that abuse that I got. So, but and I, like you, I would, I couldn't be more happy with what VMI has afforded me, the doors it's opened. VMI would have never, I think, introduced me to you, and given me the opportunity to learn from you and things like that. And I really do appreciate everything that you've done for me. And
well, I'm
I see
learning
you.
from you. I'm learning from you. Hey, you at some point you got a call sign. You got nicknamed the Hammer. I think that's an interesting little vignette.
Yeah, during OCS. So as you said earlier, just a minute ago, you said I wasn't the sharpest tool, and
I was
so
kidding.
I didn't leave VMI with a commission. So I ended up having to go to OCS for 13 weeks, and the drill instructors obviously are Marines, and the group of Marines that we had at the specific time, we had a lot of scout snipers and scout swimmers that were there too. And, they obviously knew that I'd already gotten a contract to go try to become a SEAL at the time. And so my drill instructor and a couple of the other drill instructors, they let me have it. And, I just keep coming back for more. And so they actually gave me the nickname, the Hammer. And one of the drill instructors that was in a separate group, so basically a different company, to put it on the same
right.
terms, he was in a different company with a different group of class OCS members and things like that. He saw me in the chow hall one day. I had Hammer written across the back of my shirt, and he was like, "You can't you can't have that nickname. You have to take that off your thing." And I was like, "Well, unless you think you can take it from me, you can try." And immediately, like his eyes just got huge. And I still hadn't graduated. I'm still a cadet, or a candidate or whatever, OCS candidate. So
he admired your moxie, I'm sure.
Yeah, so basically he had this flip deck of cards that were different exercises, and he and I went at his deck of cards for a few hours. I left there just drenched in sweat. Never gave up, and he wasn't able to break me with those deck of cards. I don't remember how many times we went through them, but we went through them quite a few times. And as I'm running back to our barracks, my drill instructor and a couple of the others see me running in there just drenched, and they're like, "Matson, come in here." So I came in, and usually, you're standing at attention with the drill instructors, and it's still not on that level yet. And they were like, "Relax." They're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Easy day." And they're like, "All right, we'll get down and start pushing out some more." I was like, "All right, cool." So right back at it. Yeah.
So there's so many Matbock stories, and Matbock has its hands in a lot. I mean, do you think that, God, so many things I want to ask you about because I just know this stuff. Was there some point that somebody you think influenced you to sort of get into entrepreneurship, or did it just happen by happenstance and accident, or why do you think you became an entrepreneur, Sean?
I think for me, I've always enjoyed tinkering and kind of building things and just doing stuff. So, one of the first remote control cars that, I'd saved up some money, and I got this white Lamborghini remote control car, and I'd saved a bunch of money up to get this. And I took it up. I drove it like once or twice up and down the road, and then I took it apart because I wanted to make it faster. And
kind of like tool time, Tim Allen. You had to soup it up. Huh?
The only problem was I never got it back together because I took all the electronics apart, and I was like, all right. But then I and so I just started doing that. I like doing model airplanes and other things, and kind of just doing some of those things early on growing up. But really, when we saw this kind of issue, like I said, in 2006 on the back of the plane, it was immediate to Zach and I that, okay, well, we could develop something that's better. And it took us a long time to figure out what that path looked like, but we sat around and spoke to people that had done that before us. So, we sat down with successful other entrepreneurs or investors and kind of spoke to them about how do we even get this idea from an idea to production? Or at the time, what we wanted to do was license it to, to the company that actually manufactures those nets, and just hopefully get mailbox money from a licensing fee or royalty, fee. And we came to the conclusion, I'll say kind of quick, but it took us 4 years to kind of come up with this, but that wasn't going to work. That no one saw our vision except for us, right? Like, so we had to physically take and build that product into a prototype to then go show them. Because at the time, all we had was some 1/5 scaled, drawings and a real rough prototype of one that we made out of half inch.
Now Matbock has actually advanced many products. One of them that's of interest to me is a CISO that Zach's working on. Say a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a cold plasma generator device. So it's a medical device that we're going through the process right now with to get it into the military and other things. But one of the big problems with plasma generation in the flame, so plasma torches operate at very high temperatures, so thousands and thousands of degrees. Our breachers in the SEAL teams would use plasma torches to cut through steel doors. Mm-hmm. Our device, though, operates at about the same temperature as a hair blower, so a little over 100 degrees.
I've actually seen one and run it across my hand.
Yeah, and so it's safe to touch. It doesn't require huge amounts of power to do it, and then you can actually, because of the lower temperatures, we've increased the oxygen concentration off of the end of the tip. So it can coagulate blood very quickly. It almost creates a scab right in front of your face, right in front of your eyes. It also has some decontamination properties of it as well that we're going through and testing the different bacterias and viruses that it can disinfect and decontaminate. And
so that thing's got some pretty good traction right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It has some really good traction, and really where we're finding a really good niche in the military space, for example, is devices that can't be submerged in like some kind of liquid solution. So think of sensitive equipment, other paints or other things like that can't, and you don't want to do that because it could potentially break down some of those things. So we're coming at it from a different angle, and really like our thing within Matbock is how do we look at a market segment or an industry and change that paradigm for and how do we bring a product or a technology into the market that does that? It turns kind of that whole industry and shifts the thinking of it. And with that, it obviously takes time to make the whole kind of ship turn, because not a lot of people are accustomed and don't really like that change sometimes. So
yeah. So now you've getting some experience. You're getting out there. You're doing a lot more speaking. You were on Burbiz's webinar not too long ago, and with some pretty powerful name speakers on there. You had 4 points, I think, in that speech that you shared that I thought was really thoughtful stuff.
Yeah. So really the thing right now is, and I was challenging people to go start a business, right? And so many people, one, they're timid already to start a business no matter what time it is. And the point that I was making with that was there's never a good time to start a business. It doesn't matter if you're at a very high economy or a very low, economy. There's never a good time to start. They're always going to find challenges. But what I was saying was, the one thing that you have going on right now is that everyone's looking for opportunities everyone's looking for opportunities. So now there's a chance you can go give them an opportunity, right? Solve a problem for them, go give them that opportunity. The second thing was social media ads are incredible right now. You can get and buy social media ads for very low rates right now in terms of price per 1,000 clicks per thousand and things like that. And if you're not understanding how to do some of those, I mean, there are millions of hours of how to do, good social media ads on
Gotta
YouTube
crack
and
the
Facebook.
algorithms.
Yeah. And really it's just, it's understanding but also being willing to put a little bit of money up there to go do certain things and kind of a shotgun approach. And you kind of do a few things. You do a shotgun approach and a more targeted approach. And you diversify like you would do anything. So, and you kind of, depending on what you're trying to do, those are the different areas and how you do it. And then, with those ads though, you also have to be willing to lose that money, right? Because it is
Right.
basically that. And the other part is, I mean, really you have no excuses not to start something right now, because as you're looking around, you're not driving to baseball practice or softball games or, soccer practices. And then obviously, if you're sitting down watching Tiger King, you're just wasting your time doing,
When I was a
doing
young
that.
man, I told my father I didn't have time to do something. He said, the only thing you have is time.
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, really, like, as you look at it, I mean, everybody is in front of devices, and right now, I mean, we're doing this virtually instead of maybe doing it in an office space where we could sit across from each other, but we're having to do this virtually. So everybody's on devices. They're out there looking for these opportunities, social media things, and then really you just have no excuses. So. I think it's arguably a great time to go start a business. And I would argue that it's probably better to start one now than it would have been 2 months ago, because you get comfortable in that sense of, man, everything's going great. Everything's going great. And then now the bottom falls out, and then you're like, well, yep, that was it. No, back to nothing. And now you're starting at nothing. So the only way you can go is go up. So
Well, that's
might as well
right.
start it.
It's a good place. Rock bottom is a good foundation to build on, isn't it? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you got some guiding principles that, some values that you think you and Zach have built Matbock upon.
The biggest one is treat people the way you want to be treated. We very much believe that, and we've lost money on deals because, we've said something to somebody and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. It's at the end of the day though, we're all human and we make mistakes, and being transparent with someone, telling them, hey, look, if you're going into let's say a deal and it's like, hey, I need to make 10% on this deal. And they said, okay, well, that's fine. We can make that happen. And then you come back and you sharpen your pencil after, operating, and actually find out that, you could live off of 5% on the deal. You're be a little bit more efficient. There are very few people that will go out there and say, hey man, like I actually can do it a little bit more efficiently and than I could before. Let's split this now, or, hey,
Right.
let's, I can give you a little bit more. They were willing to work with you. Now you can be willing to work with them after you refine things. And I think that as people get into business more and they start understanding that everybody has to make money. That's why you're in business, unless you're doing a nonprofit and things like that. You're in business to make money. So there's a buy side and a sell side. So as long as, you can make that work where everybody's happy, you're going to continue to do business together and not just be a one and done thing. The beauty of that is it's always easier to do business with repeat customers and or clients or whoever they are, because
Building the
you have
trust and the
you have that
relationship.
trust, in the relationship. So you've gotten, you're quicker to get to, basically bang. And you could do that faster and faster and faster and repeat business with people, rather than trying to kind of sniff each other out and kind of play this game for a few months. And then now all of a sudden now you've lost business. So, just really the big one is treat people the way you want to be treated. Both he and I are very much, we still work out on a regular basis. Maybe not as much as we want to, but we still, at least 5 times a week, probably, we're working out. And so bringing that fitness into our organization, we have a gym, we have access to gyms for our employees and other things like that, so that they have that. And really just understanding their needs, as a whole.
You're doing some things now. You've pivoted a little bit because of COVID. Your employees are making some things right now, and you're into some things that are specific to the crisis, right?
Yeah, so within Matbock, like I said, a lot of our we manufacture these innovative products, and just kind of not out of where we thought this would kind of go. Right, our first product was a cargo net, right? So
Right.
you would think logistics and kind of that world, but because we don't look for that specific industry, we really look for those paradigms. We follow kind of how the market kind of goes, and the big one that keeps coming up to us is the medical space. So
Right.
developing new medical packs and medical litter. So we've really built that foundation of Matbock with medical products all around, again, medical litters and how to transport patients, and bags to hold all of their equipment easier for them. And so a lot of our customers in the defense space have been around the
On the
medical
medical side.
space.
It's an
And
interesting story, that litter story. You kind of have the Swiss Army knife of litters, don't you?
yeah, we do. So we call it the lift system, and because it's a military product, it had to be an acronym. So it's the Lightweight Integrated Field Transport System. So what it does is it has now almost 10 products to the whole system of it. But what we started it with was a litter, a soft litter that could also be an SSE bag that only weighs less than 10 ounces. And then that unzips and makes and folds up into a soft litter that 6 people could carry a soldier
Mm-hmm.
around. Then you have the poles from the ladder system that can be pulled off of the ladder, slid down there to make it into a little bit a semi-rigid litter for a little bit longer transfers. And then you've got a fully rigid system. And then we've got one now that can actually be drug. And so this whole product, whole systems of products basically created the lift system. And like I said, but it's lighter. And when you buy it
Lighter,
as a kit, it
faster
actually,
warriors is one of
yeah,
your things. The it's just so typical. I remember you telling me that that when you guys went on missions, you wouldn't carry a litter because it was too heavy, right? And
yep.
just too much to take. And of course, the military, in its infinite wisdom, had designed a 4-man carry litter with a capacity of holding 1,200 pounds. So you guys can do the math. You're probably not going to go too far with that, with 1,200
Yeah.
pounds. So anyway,
You're
well,
not walking very fast with 1,200 pounds and 4 dudes. So
no, probably not. I think the same guy that did that designed some of the bridges that we had to put together when I was in the engineers. So,
yeah.
we learned a lot of things from the military. Do you think there's some things that you learned from the military that have helped you be a better entrepreneur? And then I'm going to flip the table, and I'm kind of what advice we as entrepreneurs ought to be giving back to the U.S. military.
Yeah, I mean, doing less with more. We were always accustomed, even in the SEAL teams, which we had a great supply and things. Like we were always left with trying to solve things and not able to acquire equipment fast enough. And then,
You
as soon
always
as we
got a
got
shortage
something,
of resources.
well, yeah, but as soon as we got something, the mission changed, and then we're going somewhere else, and so the mission was always outpacing that gear, even though we were able to get stuff rapidly. So we would always be operating with stuff, a little bit on the shy side of that. So being able to do more things with less guys, and the that goes down into not just gear and equipment, but also, spread loading your guys to be able to do multiple things. So, the saying in the teams was, a jack of all trades and a master of none. So,
Right.
we'd have a guy that is a sniper, and he would be the lead sniper. He might not be the best sniper at the time, but he is the guy that's in that job and in at that seat. But then we might have in a platoon of 20 guys, we might have 5 more guys that are also snipers, that if something happened to him, I have, 5 more guys that could pick that up. or they could slide into that seat if he got pulled to go do something else, so just trying to do that. The resources piece of it, doing more with less. I think the integrity piece, again, just treating people the way you want to be treated. I think a lot of people have that instilled in them, through the camaraderie piece of that brotherhood that veterans get out of whatever basic training or, crucibles or, things that they have to go and endure to get to where they're at, a combat deployment, things like that really help bond that. But I think it gives people a little bit different perspective on not just life, but just how to interact with other people to that in culture.
Good. So any advice for transitioning veterans in this time? You've been through this process in the last, 5 years probably, as you transition off active duty. What lessons did you learn from that?
It doesn't matter how well prepared you are during the transition. Something's going to go wrong and it's not going to be what you were expecting. I think that too often, guys just fall into the mindset that the one thing that, they do mission planning and they always plan multiple contingencies, but now for all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it's now like, okay, I'm transitioning, and they put all their eggs in one basket. And then when that goes away, they're like, wait, what happened about, why didn't I plan these other things? And it's like, for however long you were in the military, that's all you ever do is, primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency planning. So there's your PACE plan. Do the same thing when you're transitioning, figure out how to have a couple backups to things and making sure that you're not relying on that one thing. If you're looking to start a business, start it early, start it while you're getting a paycheck, from the military. Right. Obviously you have to do it legally. You have to go through JAG and work through those, but there are absolute ways to do it. And Zach and I were able to do it even as we were developing, innovative technologies while we were sitting at the seat as a leader within the SEAL teams. And we were 100% transparent with everything that we did. And if there were times where I was a platoon commander and my platoon wanted to buy products from Matbock, and I immediately would walk the paperwork up to our XO and said, I want nothing to do with this. I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not, this is not coming from me. And they would route it through and make sure legal was good with it.
Recused yourself from it.
So it just immediately, not even dealing with anything like that it just, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it type, and so, but there are ways you can go do it while you're still active, where you can own a business or you could run a business. It's just talking through with the JAG to figure out how to do that and make sure that you're getting the right things that way.
How about your professional network, your relationships? When you were in the Navy, you've got a lot of, connections within the Navy, but having a professional relationship, network, if you will, out in the civilian world, have you been effective in, getting to meet people? What are you doing to actively expand?
Well, so I think the military has a great opportunity. And actually I preach this to my guys in my platoon. Like, we're traveling all over the world on the military dime, right. Like, why not use that as an opportunity to network with these people? And oh, by the way, if you stay in the teams long enough, you're probably going to go back to those same places over and over and over again. So, we would have, 15 or 20 different training sites, all over the country that we would continually go back to, because they're established training sites. They're already approved places that we could go shoot or breach or do different things. They have the certifications for it. But when we were out in town, build a network within there, just right. Never know what, they could help you with, or you could help them with, or whatever. Guys would find people to hunt with, when right. They're in different cities or, places or states, or you just never know. Having someone local when you're overseas somewhere to just reach out and say, hey, where are the good places to go, where are the bad places to go, kind of figure out some of those things on a local level. hey, I need to buy something and I can't get it shipped in from the United States, and you're in some other country, having those networks to be able to do that. But again, going back to what I said earlier, all it is treating the people the way you want to be treated. They're human just like you are. So making sure that you're not just using them, but also actually interacting with them, checking in on them, seeing how things are going periodically, and not on a it doesn't have to always be on a transactional basis. It's like, hey Bob, I need your help. Hey Bob, it can, hey Bob, how are you guys doing? And simple thing like that goes a long way with people.
Sean, I could talk with you all day, but we probably need to wind this up. I'm curious. A lot of your upcoming events have probably been unsettled by COVID-19. I know I was looking forward to seeing you try to break the world record in the blast suit mile. I think that was going to be up in Northern Virginia. I guess it was the EOD.
Yeah, it was going to be the second annual EOD inaugural. So it was EOD Bomb Suit Run and Family 5K. So we actually, it's weird. The title is flip flop because we actually do the 5K first, and then everyone after the 5K is done, they come watch the.
It was divine providence, see, because what I wanted to do was to come up there and maybe be your pace man, for a quarter of a mile or something like that, just to keep you in the right pace. But as it turns out, I got a stress fracture in my foot playing around in Mexico, so I was in a boot anyway. So it's good that we didn't have to do that. Hopefully I'll get a reset on that. Maybe we can do it next year.
Last year, Samantha was, almost 8 months pregnant, running around because she thought I was about ready to pass out and die because I was
harder than it looks, isn't it? That thing's pretty heavy, I bet.
Yeah.
At least they let you keep the mask open, right?
85 pounds. So
85 pounds, man. That's a chore. Well, listen, Sean, it's great to have you. You're a great friend to me, and I have the utmost respect for you. I am just really pleased that you came on the program. Again, this is Sean Matson, co-founder and CEO of Matbock. It's matbock.com. I'm going to put links to your LinkedIn and Matbock, and anything else, Sean, you want me to add on there, I'm going to put on here. And
I appreciate it.
Thanks for being a great guest, and thanks for being a great friend.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bob.